All daily habits that are carried out without realizing it have positive and negative effects on the body. Doing this excessively over a long period of time can be detrimental to your health. Stop doing it, the little habit that shortens your life. So what is it? 1. Too much sitting. A study published in the British Medical Journal found that sitting for more than 3 hours a day, or for too long, can shorten your life by up to 2 years. Sitting increases your chances of developing cancer, heart disease, high blood pressure, and other deadly diseases. If your job requires you to sit down, then at least get up and walk around at least every few hours. Don't just sit in front of a computer screen all day. 2. Lack of sleep or sleeping too much. Research shows that people who are sleep deprived die more quickly. People who often stay up late and have trouble sleeping have a higher risk of premature death than those who meet their sleep needs. Adults should get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. According to Harvard Medical School's Healthy Sleep, sleeping less than 5 hours shouldn't be good, but sleeping more than 9 hours isn't good either. Lack of sleep weakens your immune system and increases your risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, obesity, and diabetes. All of this can bring you closer to the grave without you even realizing it. Experts recommend going to bed at the same time every night and not drinking alcohol or using electronic devices 3 hours before bedtime. 3. Eat a lot of red meat or processed meat. According to Harvard Men's Health Watch, every time you add red meat or processed meat to your daily diet, your risk of death increases by about 13%. Red meat can be replaced with other forms of protein such as fish. Eating fish reduces the risk of death by 7%. Whole grains and poultry such as chicken and turkey reduce the risk of death by 14%, and legumes reduce the risk of premature death by 19%, maximizing the potential for longevity. 4. Skipping breakfast. Don't skip breakfast even when you're on a diet. Previous research has shown that people who skip breakfast actually have weight problems. Because people who skip breakfast usually consume more calories during the day, they are more prone to obesity. People who regularly eat breakfast are healthier overall. According to the American Heart Association, they have higher cholesterol levels, better heart health, and lower blood pressure than those who skip breakfast. A small study found that people who skipped breakfast had a 50% higher mortality rate than those who ate breakfast regularly. 5. Unhappy and afraid of death. Any form of stress can take a toll on your health, especially your heart. According to Johns Hopkins Medicine, nearly every persistent negative emotion, from anger to hatred to sadness, causes problems in the body. When you experience negative emotions, your blood pressure increases, your heart rate increases, and your body releases the stress hormone cortisol. Remember that cortisol can increase the risk of heart disease. Not only that, people who are too worried or afraid of death can actually bring you closer to death. Terrorist attacks, cancer, natural disasters, viruses, and many others. Their life becomes too paranoid about death, and can eventually cause a person to become frightened and eventually die slowly. 6. Do neck stretches. Stretching the neck may be one of the habits that many people do to get relaxation. However, if done too often and without knowing the right way, can cause serious problems, including stroke. A 28-year-old man suffered a major stroke after stretching his neck, according to a case study published in Science Alert in 2019. It turns out that stretching his neck can tear an artery. This tear causes a blood clot, and it is this blood clot that causes a stroke. 7. Don't like spicy food. Constantly avoiding spicy foods can cost you the opportunity to live long. According to Harvard Health, someone who eats spicy food every day has a 14% lower risk of death than someone who only eats spicy food once a week. Eating spicy food not only lowers your risk of death, but also lowers your risk of developing many types of disease, including cancer, ischemic heart disease, and respiratory disease. In addition to the frequency of consumption of spicy food, the source and type of spicy food consumed is also a determining factor. People who eat fresh chilies have been shown to have a lower risk of cancer, heart disease, and diabetes than people who eat dried chilies. However, this study is only an observational study, and it is still too early to determine whether there is a link between spicy food and low mortality. 8. Doesn't like to socialize. Experts point out that social distancing and isolation tend to have the same negative health effects as smoking and drinking alcohol. Not only that, lack of sun exposure disrupts your sleep cycle, which further increases the risk of premature death. In addition, staying indoors for long periods of time increases the chances of catching the virus. 9. Too extravagant and too much debt. Financial problems can actually lead to cardiovascular disease due to unwise spending of money. A 2014 study published in BMC Public Health found that underfunded older people living off their wages without an emergency fund tend to have a higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease. People who pay more attention to their finances are less likely to experience financial stress and live happier lives.